What's going on YouTube? Cloverfield here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're doing more Regulation J team building, and Arceus will be our focus for tonight. So last week we covered Miraidon and we put out some starting teams and builds, and nice to see a lot of them being used on the limitless tournaments. But you know, there's not a lot of Regulation J tours in general going on at the moment, I would imagine, because you know, World Championships are this week, right? So some last minute prep are going on, I would imagine, or people are just would rather play Regulation H. Understandable, of course, but either way, we're going to at least cover the main mythicals that you at least give some consideration to, because remember, the mythicals are taking up a restricted legendary slot, so if you really want to use them, you have to justify them on your team. Otherwise, the other legendaries or other restricteds are just better overall, right? Arceus can definitely come onto some teams, which is why we're covering it here. Look at those base stats, base 120 across the board. So great bulk, great speed. And we've got some builds for you here today. And I'm going to give you some options just to try out here. The first one is going to be a Calyrex Shadow Rider Chien Pao core here. And Chien Pao is a great partner with Arceus. Why? Because right now, the common consensus is to turn Arceus into an extreme speed spammer, right? And now you might question, well, wait a minute, why can't we just use Dragonite, you know, accompanied with Chien Pao? That is true, you definitely can, and there is some merit to doing that because, again, Dragonite can't get intimidated with Inner Focus. You have a higher base attack stat, if anything, okay? And the bulk is still pretty good, like 91 HP, 95 defense, 100 speed F. Obviously, Arceus outclasses that. But the speed tier is a factor. But the other thing is our Dragonite does not get access to Swords Dance, which is something that Arceus can definitely get access to. So that's the other thing that would make you want to merit this, because this is Arceus's way of outpacing the Intimidate spam that might come into play with something like an Incineroar, but obviously you can avoid that if you just throw on a Clear Amulet item onto it, right? But not all Arceuses have the Clear Amulet. Some of them might have something like a Life Orb item, for example, and that's also understandable because, again, Life Orb, Extreme Speed with the Swords Dance, Terra Normal with Chien Pao on the field, you're not going to be missing KOs on a lot of things if you have a lot of those going on there. So we're going to build around, you know, the physical Arceus domination with Chien Pao, along with Calyrex Shadow Rider being the special end here. Then we also have some ideas here with Miraidon. I feel like a lot of the Miraidon partners that you might see can also do well with Arceus, just because the support that Arceus would appreciate can also definitely, you know, come onto these Miraidon teams. Then we have the Weezing variant, right? You know, and you might see Weezing come onto some Arceus teams. Why? Because, again, Galarian Weezing has the neutralizing gas, which is, again, very useful with something like Arceus. Because, again, if you're going for the extreme speed spam, you know, stuff like Farigiraf denying priority can give you a hard time, obviously, because then you can't do that. And the common moveset is something like this with Extreme Speed, Swords Dance, Shadow Claw to be able to at least hit the ghost types, and then Protector. But again, this doesn't do much to Farigiraf, right? And even Indeedee, right? You know, Indeedee is another one that you kind of have to worry about here. That's Shadow Ball here. I meant Shadow Claw, right? So you still need a way to hit that or get around that, and Weezing can definitely help you do that by shutting away those abilities and, you know, just making sure that you can get around that thanks to the support that Weezing can give you here, especially with like Taunt and Will-O-Wisp support. And then, of course, with Weezing going for these poison gases, right? You know, just chipping things down, putting things in range for that extreme speed. That's the way to go about it. And then this last build here is with Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Gothitelle with Shadow Tag, okay? And you might ask, well, wait a second, what's going on here? Is this what I think it is? Yes, it is. Arceus also gets access to Perish Song here. And when you have Perish Song on Arceus, right, and then you add the fact that you have Incin, Amoonguss, Gothitelle, the perfect Perish Song core, you can definitely make teams suffer quite a bit. And when you just add a restricted, something like a Calyrex Ice Rider here, for example, now all of a sudden you have a Trick Room mode, you know, with Incin, Amoonguss, okay, and then Arceus, again, with clicking Perish, you can just pivot all these options in and out. They have Protect, they have healing capability, and they have board positioning. So now all of a sudden, this looks really, really good if you decide to go the Perish route. And remember, you don't have to click Perish if you don't want to. You can definitely still threaten with it, right? But you don't have to use it because, again, this core of, you know, just Gothitelle trapping things, you know, combined with the Calyrex Instant Amoonguss is still like very, very dangerous. Okay, so we'll build 4 of these teams, right, just to give you something to start with. And they're going to look very different from each other, which is good. We want some variance here. But again, like always, when we build the teams, we'll always hash out the EV spreads. Then we'll test it out in a couple games. And then we'll put the final Pokepace on the screen. Okay, now again, the reason why Calyrex Shadow Rider can be a pretty good partner here is because of the defensive synergy that they have with each other. So again, with Arceus being weak to fighting type attacks, you can always pivot in the Calyrex Shadow Rider. And, you know, the fighting type attack gets whiffed because you can't hit a ghost with fighting type attacks. Also, at the same time, you know, Calyrex being weak to ghost type attacks, you can whiff that if you just pivot in your Arceus, which is a normal type, which doesn't take any damage from ghost type attacks in general. So you could literally sit in front of Calyrex Shadow Rider teams and then just ignore Astral Barrage, right? And then just threaten the KO with something like a Shadow Claw, for example. Force them to Terra, if anything, right? Now, if we're going for a Swords Dance build, right, along with Chien Pao here, ideally you want like Fake Out Pressure and Redirection support. So something like Rillaboom here can definitely come onto a team like this. Because again, Rillaboom and Chien Pao have also pretty decent synergy. Because again, Rillaboom can benefit from the Sword of Ruin here. You get terrain control for your Miraidon needs for sure. So now you've got Chien Pao and Rillaboom coming to Miraidon games. Because again, you can pressure with the ice damage and also change terrain with Rillaboom and also give yourself some setup space with the Fake Out Pressure coming from the Rillaboom here, right? Then after this, your last 2 slots are up for grabs here. I think Redirection, again, like I said, is pretty important. I think something like Clefairy, which has had some pretty good recent success with the Calyrex Shadow Rider, always has had pretty good success with Shadow Riders, even dating back to Sword and Shield, because again, Clefairy has the Friend Guard ability, which adds bulk to your entire team, right? And that's also something that Arceus can definitely appreciate it, especially because we're not going to have a sash on this. So you've got Friend Guard here, you've got Follow Me support, okay? And then at the same time, you also have something for Trick Room, because again, what you can do is you can threaten after you in the Trick Room games with the Calyrex Ice Rider, and then all of a sudden, now even if they have Trick Room, your attacks will go first because of Clefairy's speed interaction with after you in the Trick Room mode here, right? You underspeed it with 35 here, so that's really, really nice with those Trick Room games, so you definitely want that. And then this last slot here, I think you just want some good physical breaker damage at the end. Something else to combo well with Chien Pao. I think Urshifu Rapid Strike is just really, really solid here. I could also see something like Volcarona coming onto a team like this just to get another special attacker on the team. You can even add Tailwind support from this Volcarona, which can also make sense on a team like this. But with so much priority, I don't think you need Tailwind from a Volcarona onto something like this. I think just good solid breaker damage with Urshifu. Maybe having a Choice Scarf idea over here just makes sense here. And this is a pretty good starting build with Arceus, right? A relatively balanced build here. You've got 4 Pokemon clicking priority moves. You got you got Fake Out and Redirection support, okay? And then even with this Calyrex, you can definitely run Nasty Plot here. So now you're just going to go for, you know, setups either on your Arceus or setups on your Calyrex. Either way, you know, you've got the space to be able to create that. So you can use Calyrex as a late game cleaner, deal a bunch of early damage with stuff like Arceus, Chien Pao, and Urshifu. Then when things have been chipped, this is when Calyrex can come in the game and finish things off with Broken Astral Barrage, right? So how do we want to round out this type of team? So ideally, I kind of want the sash either on the Calyrex or the Chien Pao here. If I'm going to go Nasty Plot, I'm going to go a damage boosting item on the Calyrex, which means I'm going to put the sash on the Chien Pao in this case. So I'm going to slap that on there. And then the Rillaboom, of course, I'm going to put on the Assault Vest here. Clefairy is going to get the Eviolite. Okay, I already put the Scarf on the Urshifu here. And then the Arceus here, I can also opt to either go for the Clear Amulet to make me, you know, immune to Intimidate, or I can go for a little bit more damage and go for Life Orb here. And to each their own. I think for this build, I was testing out Life Orb the most. So I'm going to stick with that, and obviously you're going to have Protect on this last slot here. So I'm going to go with the Life Orb Arceus build here. If you like Clear Amulet, you can definitely do that. If you like a Choice Band build here, you can definitely do that. Most of these teams are going to have the Extreme Speed set. If you're looking for the Judgment stuff, we'll probably cover that a little bit more later on, especially in like some of the other tournaments. But at least for the starting build, it's just easier to use the Extreme Speed stuff with the Arceus over here. Chien Pao, we're going to have Crash here. You can also threaten Ice Spinner, but if I have Rillaboom on my team, I kind of like the recovery with my Grassy Terrain, so I don't want to break that. So I'm just going to go for Crash here. It does a little bit more damage anyway. And then I also have the chance to flinch, which is really, really nice. I've got Sucker Punch here for priority. Again, just to threaten the Calyrexes as well, even the Lunalas to an extent. And then I've got Protect here on this last slot. Now, with this last move here, you can do a couple things. You can either go for something like Taunt, which makes sense here. You can also go for something like Crunch, which is also really solid. So this way, you don't always have to rely on a priority Dark move, because, you know, you can always play around Sucker Punch. You at least have Crunch for your, you know, non-priority Dark type move. You can even go for something like Runation here, right? And just break through Sash and break through something like Shadow Shield Lunala, for example. And then rely on the other options to finish things out, right? So I think either way, you can always do something like that. Or you can go a little bit more supportive and just opt for Taunt. I think Taunt is also really solid with Chien Pao Sash ideas, especially if it's a fast non-prankster Taunt. That can also help you with a lot of things, you know, shut down redirection, shut down support ideas, shut down Trick Room. If you have to, you know, click it, you can definitely do that. Otherwise, you can put taunts elsewhere, but I think taunt Chien Pao is really, really solid. But if you don't like the taunt, then you can just go for something like Crunch. I'll leave Crunch for now, but I think taunt is going to be a little bit better in the long run, but it's up to you how you want to play the Chien Pao. I think Ghost Terra is still really solid just to avoid fake out stuff. Yeah, we'll go with it right here. The Calyrex, I'm going to go Astro Barrage, okay, and take this. I'm going to go with Terra Fairy. All right, we're going to go the Draining Kiss route, okay, with Clefairy here, and then just straight up Protector. So you can probably imagine what's coming, right? So if you want, you can definitely put the Life Orb on the Calyrex here and go for Clear Amulet on the Arceus. If you really want to do that, you definitely can. Otherwise, if you insist on keeping the Life Orb on the Arceus, you can definitely put another damage dealing item on the Calyrex. You can definitely go for Spell Tag here, but to each their own. I'm giving you options. But again, I was testing Life Orb Arceus the most, so I put the Spell Tag here. But if you want to switch the item and put the Life Orb here, then you can definitely put Clear Amulet over here and it still works out. And then this is just a standard Rillaboom set, you know, just Grassy Glide. I'll fix that in a second. Wood Hammer, and then just U-turn for your pivot move. Where are you, Grassy Glide? There we are. The Clefairy here, we already said follow me after you. I like Terra Ground just to get around like Miraidon shenanigans. Where are you? Yeah. Otherwise, you know, you have to redirect that Electro Drift. It's very devastating. Otherwise, you can definitely go Terra Grass to get around Amoonguss and just go from there. But I still think Clefairy with a couple of Terras is actually pretty good. I think Terra Ground right now is okay. And then Helping Hand for a little bit more damage, and then just Protect here. Then the Urshifu here, also going to be relatively solid. I still like Ghost Terra on my Urshifus. You can definitely go Water or Terra Stellar here. But sometimes if you want to play around the fake outs, Ghost is still like pretty solid. So Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and U-turn. Just a very standard Urshifu set that we're running here. And this is it. This is going to be the first 6 that I'm going to show you here. Again, it's pretty obvious how this team wants to play. You know, you have the combo with Arceus Chien Pao here, the very aggressive physical combo that threatens priority moves, and then you also threaten you know, just regular damage with Icicle Crash and, you know, Shadow Claw here if you have to. You have Swords Dance here to outpace the Incineroars if you really want to do that. Otherwise, Calyrex can be the setup idea with Clefairy here. You have Friend Guard support with Follow Me. You can set up your Nasty Plot. Then if you need a little bit of recovery, you can pivot out into Rillaboom, click Protect, then Fake Out again, and then go for another Nasty Plot, or just go for Astro Barrage from there. Then the Urshifu here is, you know, a little bit more of a fast mode here, but the Choice Scarf, you can outpace other Shadow Riders and then just go for the Surging Strikes play. So if you really want to, you can definitely opt for that. But again, you have a lot of priority here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokemon here, potentially 4 Pokemon here with priority moves here. So against the Tailwind and Trick Room teams, you can definitely play around them relatively fine. And, you know, if you do fear the Indeedee stuff, you do have the Rillaboom that can come in and change terrain and make sure that you are able to click your priority stuff if you have to. All right. So in terms of an EV type of build here, we'll keep things relatively standard. I think Ursh here, you can definitely go Adamant 252 just to, you know, try something relatively easy on ladder. Okay, I like the 4 in the HP stat here, you know, 176. Again, that's an optimal number with Rillaboom Grassy Terrain Recovery. factors of 16. That's what I'm going for here. Clefairy, also keep it standard with the Violet stuff. I'm going to go for even numbers here. You want those even numbers because, again, when you're multiplying your bulk defenses by 1.5, you don't want odd numbers. Otherwise, it'll just round down. We'll keep it even. So this way we get nice, solid whole numbers, the best bang for your buck. And of course, we're just going to go max HP here. But again, same idea. I'm just going to undercut it by 1. So again, just like Urshifu, I'm going to go to 176 here just for optimal Grassy Terrain recovery. I'm going to go... You could either go like bold or relaxed nature here. I'm just going to go relaxed nature, you know, just to have something to start with here. And I'm going to go about, let's see if I can hit the bump here. So 99 is the bump, but that's an odd number. Let's go one more over. Let's go to 100. So this way we reach that even number and we reach triple digits. And then dumping the rest here into Spadef. So again, 96 is another very solid even number. This is just a very common balanced Clefairy EV spread that you'll find in VGC. But again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, and if you don't know what I'm saying when I say, you know, 97 to 99 is another bump here, make sure you comment in the video below asking what are EV bumps, because again, if you're trying to do complex EV spreads, bumps are one of the first things you need to understand in doing so. So if you don't know what they are, comment below asking what are EV bumps. I will reply and respond to you. Otherwise, we have a whole video explaining what are EV bumps. If you look in the video description below, we have a linked video that also goes a little bit more in depth into what are EV bumps and how you can achieve them. Okay, but anyway, here's the bump here. Let's go one over. Let's get that nice solid even number for Clefairy here. Rillaboom, I'll also keep it relatively standard. I'm just going to max my HP here. And you have the option to either go like Adamant 36 Rillaboom. You could also go Adamant 116 Rillaboom, or even 196. So either way, I think I went Adamant 116 and then just 4 in defense. And just enough Spadef where, again, I'm reaching triple digits here. Nice solid bulk with the AV set. And then a little bit of speed there just to go to 113. Usually this under Tailwind will outspeed something like a Shadow Rider. Even though I don't have Tailwind here, this is still like a relatively solid Rillaboom set there that you can just easily jump onto ladder with. The Chien Pao here, again, I'll also keep this standard with the 252 set here. I'll keep it Jolly here just to outspeed the Adamants Chien Paos that you might run into. And I'll also put 1 into defense here. This is just a little bit better for the Urshifu damage calc. The Calyrex here. So what we're going to do here with the Calyrex, right now in Regulation I, apparently the most common build for Calyrex is this modest build here. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Why is that so good? Well, you have Clefairy Friend Guard support here. And if you invest into your physical bulk, right, then you add Clefairy here with Friend Guard. Now all of a sudden you become hard to remove, and then you have the healing capability of Draining Kiss. So whatever attacks you're going to be taking anyway, you're going to live, and if you go for Draining Kiss, you heal it right back. And if you get the KO, then you just get a free damage boost anyway, right? So we're going to go with that modest Calyrex build here. We're going to rely on the bulk on Clefairy. Usually also, you'll see teams with Incineroar along with Clefairy here that can add a little bit more to Calyrex's bulk here. But for our purposes, we can still get away with this with Clefairy and Rillaboom. So I'm still going to go modest here. I think I'm going to go about 156 here, right? Just to outspeed the Flutters that are not influenced by the booster energy, right? Even if they are Sash, that's okay. Usually they'll be paired with Miraidon if that is the case. But I still want to at least give myself a chance for that matter. But still, it's solid enough where I can still optimize my bulk here. I'm going to go to 132 HP here. Again, 192 is another Rillaboom Grassy Terrain magic number, factor of 16. 1 point in Spadef here, and then dump the rest here into physical defense. So you can see here, I'm a relatively physically bulky Calyrex Shadow Rider, where I'm just going for my benchmark. I'm going for a little bit of optimization here and dumping the rest into my bulk here. I have the speed tier that I want, even though I am much slower than a lot of the, I'm even slower than the modest and the Adamant base 135 is like a Chien Pao here. So for example, if I go Adamant here, right, it's 187. So at the very least, right, I can outspeed these guys, right, because I hit 190. So at least go for that, right? But I also want to speed creep them, so I still go about 1 or 2 points over, right? And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I don't outspeed the Jolly variants, but at the very least I can outspeed the modest variants, or Adamant variants, which is pretty important if I'm going up against a Miraidon, for example, right? And this way, if they do outspeed me, I know that they're timid, or perhaps they are a Scarf variant, right? If I can't tell on ladder, right? But anyway, I'm still going to go for this. Let's go back to Jolly here. And I think all I have left is something like an Arceus here. Oh, by the way, this bulk, if you don't know right now, this bulk can survive Urshifu Surging Strikes, right? Especially if they Terra, right? And then even if they have the Chien Pao boost, you can definitely survive, right? So I think that's still worth going for here. And then the Arceus build here, I'm just going to keep it relatively standard. I'm going to go Adamant here. Again, I'm just spamming extreme speeds most of the time, so my speed stat isn't all that important. I want to get as much value as I want from my extreme speed. So early on, I'm just going to max my attack here and a little bit of Life Orb optimization. Go to 189 there. That's okay. I already maxed out my attack here. 220 is okay. This will at least outspeed something like a Chiyu, right? And then just go for 1 point in each of the bulk stats here, right? So that's okay. And then that's it, right? So this is a very easy starting build with Arceus, right? Again, you've got the Clefairy here for support. You've got Chien Pao for immediate physical damage in your early get-go. You have Rillabooms for your Miraidon games. And then if you also want, you can combo Urshifu Chien Pao at the same time because Surging Strikes with Sword of Ruin is still a busted play if you really want to go for that, all right? So yeah, let's try this out and let's see how it plays out in a couple of test games. Oh yes, I remember this game. So this is a CSR Miraidon game. So the strong ghost type with the strong fighting type. Good synergy there. Then he's got Tailwind support from Whimsicott. He's got the photosynthesis ideas with Raging Bolt there. He's got Rillaboom for his Miraidon game. So he's got an interesting team. He's got a Torkoal there for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Might be support Torkoal there. Probably for your Trick Room matchup against Ice Rider clicking Eruption. You know, who knows. But again, I do have options here. I like Clefairy here because I can redirect the fighting move away from the Koraidon if I have to. I can redirect the priority moves from stuff like Thunderclap and Grassy Glide and whatnot. And, you know, I don't really care about CSR here because I have an Arceus that can win that 1v1 matchup here. And I also have Chien Pao here. And if look at the ice weaknesses here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokemon weak to ice. So it's very clear the Mons that I want to bring. Now, I will say that at the time when I was testing this, I was trying Terrafire Flare Blitz on Arceus. Okay, don't ask me why I was trying out Terrafire Flare Blitz, but it was an option that I was you know, trying. But eventually, I did switch to the Shadow Claw variant. But I can still show you how it plays out here. So in the beginning, I wanted to lead CSR and Arceus and at least threaten Draining Kiss if he did lead Koraidon here. So there it is. He's got Fake Out Pressure here. He can't fake out the Calyrex, so obviously Arceus is the one you want to try. But I had the option to try and threaten Koraidon here with the Draining Kiss here. Grassy Glide comes out, chip on Calyrex, Crunch, and he actually has the best of 1 tech with Crunch there. So good on him. Best of 1 tech. He gets the kill on the Calyrex. I lose it turn 1. But now I have Arceus. Okay, so now I've got Clefairy in, and you know what comes next. It's going to be all about redirecting and setting up with Swords Dance. He's got no Incineroar. He can't really stop this unless he has a timely Calyrex Shadow Rider swap in. Okay, and there's the Raging Bolt. And unfortunately, he doesn't know how Extreme Speed works. So there's the Helping Hand. And there is the Extreme Speed. And we just one-shot it, bro. Like, look how strong Arceus is. Dragonite could never. All right, there's Woodhammer. Again, we live relatively comfortable because, again, we have the Clefairy with the Friend Guard support. Now he brings in Shadow Rider. So there is your Extreme Speed immunity. And again, I don't have the Shadow Claw threat. I have Flare Blitz. Okay, there's the Grassy Glide. He does go for Astral. He does pick up the Clefairy here. And you're going to see real quick that this Calyrex does have a Sash there, which means Whimsicott is Covert Cloak probably, right? So there's the Flare Blitz. There's the Sash, right? So a little bit unfortunate for me. So even if I click Shadow Claw, it's still the same result. All right, now I've got Chien Pao here. I do anticipate the Protect there, okay? And I know he wants to go for Grassy Glide potentially here, but this is why I Protect to get a little bit more recovery, and then we just click Icicle Crash. I always have that slot planned, right? Because, you know, in the last one is going to be Koraidon anyway. So there it is. And now we always threaten with Sucker Punch, right? And he tries to Protect to get around it, but it doesn't matter. I have the Extreme Speed spam. We just eliminate Koraidon immediately. Chien Pao with Life Orb +2 Arceus clicking Extreme Speed is too strong. He has no choice but to forfeit. I always have the Sucker Punch pin. So even though I did lose the CSR early on to the best of 1 tech, because Arceus is broken with Extreme Speed, and Clefairy is great with redirection, I'm able to still pull it out. Okay, so this is a Koraidon CSR matchup here. So, I'm sorry, Calyrex Ice Rider matchup. By the way, that duo is our pick to win Worlds. The build for it, I'm going to keep that a secret. But anyway, right away, I do see potential for Calyrex Shadow Rider here. Again, with the Terra Fairy play with Draining Kiss here. So you can threaten Iron Hands and the Miraidon with that attack, and then you always threaten with Astral Barrage against the Calyrex and even the Fluttermane, even though the Fluttermane can outspeed us. The Farigiraf probably might come just to, again, be annoying into the Calyrex and stop my extreme speed shenanigans, but we will have play around it, okay? Anyway, so it depends on how he wants to lead this, but either way, I still want to lead the same way that I led last time, just to see what is his answer for the Arceus play. Okay, so he's going to bring Farigiraf obviously here, and that's pretty good against Calyrex and Arceus, right? So that's good on him. So I'm just going to go for straight setup here. I'm going to go Clefairy. I'm going to click Nasty Plot. I have Friend Guard here because my idea is that next turn I can always heal the damage back with Draining Kiss here. So there's Foul Play. We eat it easily because, again, we have Friend Guard support here at the same time. So there's the Helping Hand Terra Fairy here, and then Draining Kiss comes out. A lot of damage there, and I get right back to full health. So that's free damage for me. That's also free damage for his Landorus there. And we live the Psychic double up too at the same time there. So yeah, there's Helping Hand again. I'm going to try for the Landorus. I don't get the KO, which is a little bit unfortunate. Maybe Life Orb picks that up. But he goes for Psychic anyway. All right. And then look, I still have priority here. I'm just going to remove the Farigiraf here. So this way, my Arceus can click Extreme Speed later if I have to. He goes for Sludge Bomb into the Clefairy slot. You know, we click Follow Me there. Now here comes Calyrex. This is where we click Astral Barrage there. He doesn't have an answer to this, right? I am already +3. Now you click Helping Hand with the spell tag Astral Barrage there. And even though Calyrex tear it doesn't matter. We still pick that up there. Now that's pretty much it. He has no way around this. He has nothing left to outspeed the Calyrex, and so he has no choice but to click the forfeit button. So thank you, Clefairy, yet again. All right, one more here. This is a weird Miraidon team. He's got Hoopa Unbound. Why he has that thing, I couldn't tell you. Maybe he has Electric Seed. I'm not sure. He's got a Suicune there. It's probably Tailwind and Snarl support. Iron Boulder, a little bit of synergy with Core Drive with Miraidon there. He's got Instant because it's Incineroar. And then he's got Screen Tail because he wants to click Encore and Disable, right? I would imagine. Anyway, Suicune and Incineroar is the lead. Okay, I'm going to go with Calyrex and Clefairy here. One of these things definitely has Snarl. Probably the Suicune there, so I'm going to try and outpace it with Nasty Plot here, but also Terra Fairy, just because I don't want to take 4 times super effective damage there. Alright, so there's the Nasty Plot. It's just going to be Tailwind Suicune, and it's actually Incineroar with Snarl here. Very interesting enough. You don't see that tech anymore, but we see it here. Okay, and now we can pressure against Suicune with the Rillaboom here. That's why I pivoted in. So now the Suicune also has Snarl. So, you know, again, I expected that. So I Nasty Plotted again anyway. And you know Instant's going to keep spamming that. So I'm still +1, right? Now we get rid of Suicune. So now we can still maintain our +1 from the Nasty Plot there, right? Rillaboom took a lot of damage there. It's going to go into Miraidon, override my terrain. I want the Rillaboom later. I'm going to go into Clefairy now. Just protect Calyrex here. Maybe get Rillaboom back in if he kills the Clefairy. Click Fake Out and whatnot. But Volt Switch and U-turn into the same slot, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. What a play there. Follow Me. There's Volt Switch. I know he's going back. But again, here comes Hoopa. I don't know why he does this. But here we go. Draining Kiss, free kill. Now I'm +2. The Incineroar did not go for Snarl. He went for U-turn. He wants to pivot also. And he gets to have Fake Out back with his Miraidon, but guess what? It's his last turn of Tailwind. And, you know, now my Calyrex should be able to outspeed everything, unless he is Scarf Miraidon there, but I don't think he's Scarf Miraidon there. Yeah, you know, he obviously forfeits. But yeah, again, this is more examples of Clefairy and Calyrex doing Clefairy and Calyrex things. I also think some of the Miraidon supporting cast can do well with Arceus over here. So, for example, some of these Miraidon teams make good use of Volcarona. I do like this to an extent, right? Just because, again, Volcarona being that bug type, you're able to redirect the fighting moves away from Arceus, which is pretty good, right? And then after this, you just add a lot of the basic partners from Miraidon. So the patented Farigiraf and Iron Hands combination still works out here, especially if you're also running Swords Dance on the Arceus, which we are, right? So now you've got Fake Out and the redirection support coming from the Volcarona and the Iron Hands. Then you've got a Trick Room mode here with the Farigiraf if you want to utilize that with your Iron Hands. And then this last slot here is up for grabs. You can either opt for something like Whimsicott to give you like Tailwind support. Otherwise, you can also opt for Grimmsnarl, where you can add screens, right? So you got Fake Out, Redirection, and screens to enable your setup play. And then this Volcarona could potentially be a Quiver Dance set. Otherwise, you can also take it a different direction and just go with Chien Pao yet again. And this has worked as well on some of these Miraidon teams. Because again, this last build here with Arceus, we are still featuring a Swords Dance set with Chien Pao. So if you still want to add more support with your Chien Pao for more damage, Chien Pao can still work relatively well with this Arceus build here on this Miraidon core here. Otherwise, you can feel free to use Grimmsnarl or Whimsicott here. I think those two are also like relatively solid. But in that case, if I don't have the Tailwind from the Whimsicott, then my Volcarona will instead have Tailwind here too. So I have been able to see this, and it still makes sense, right? Just because you can still give your team speed control here, and now your Volcarona is a little bit more supportive, right? Because now you've got Rage Powder and Tailwind. Then you're gonna have Struggle Bug, which again, pretty good damage mitigation from the special side. And then this last move slot here, probably just Fiery Dance, right? You still need like one single target move there, you know, with fire type attack, and that's pretty good. Probably Rocky Helmet over here and Electric Seed over here on your Farigiraf, along with Armor Tail. And then the Chien Pao can still come back with the Sash here. So because I showed you that variant with Crunch and whatnot, I think here I'll still keep it as so like Icicle Crash, Sucker Punch, but now here I'll go with the Ruination and then Protector. So this way you get a chance to see like both builds here. But either way, I still think the EV spread is still going to be more or less the same here. So I'm still going to slap on the Sash here, right? Still go Terra Ghost on the Chien Pao. All right, and now this Arceus, we can definitely slap on a Clear Amulet here, right? I don't want too heavy on the Intimidate spam with Iron Hands and Chien Pao here on my side, so we'll at least put Arceus immune to that with the Clear Amulet set. So this way you get a chance to use another item here, and then you can go still the same side with Extreme Speed, and you can still go with Shadow Claw here at the same time. Makes sense here. Now this Miraidon, look, you could go Specs or Scarf here. I think that's going to be solid either way, because this is going to be the Assault Vest user. So if you like Specs, you can go Specs. Otherwise, I was still using Choice Scarf because there were some games where I just didn't bring Volcarona and I still needed a speed advantage. So we're still going to go with Electro Drift. All right, we're still going to go with Snarl. All right, we got the Draco Meteor and we have the Volt Switch, the pivot move from the Miraidon here, right? Terra Electric is still good. Volcarona, Terra Bug here. I still like Grass sometimes just to be able to get around Amoonguss potentially. Otherwise, Dragon is still like pretty solid. Farigiraf here, we'll go Terra Water here for the Urshifu Surging Strikes. So you've got Psychic, you've got Foul Play, okay, you've got Helping Hand, and you've got Trick Room here. Very standard Farigiraf set here. And then Iron Hand, same thing here. Your Trick Room matchup, you know, Fake Out, Drain Punch, Wild Charge, and Low Kick. Really strong move against the Calyrex Ice Rider stuff. This one will go Terra Bug, helps you get around the ground stuff from something like a Landorus, of course, and then there's Ghost. I think we got all the Terras that we need. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. That's the open team sheet. So now, same thing with Arceus. So I think this time around, look, we've got Tailwind, we've got Trick Room, I've got Clear Amulet here. Look, I'm just gonna go straight Jolly 252, 252. Again, it's still very early in the format. I'm just trying to test how good Extreme Speed is on the Arceus combo with Chien Pao. So it's perfectly fine to try out 252, 252 on the Arceus in this case. The Miraidon here, I'm going to go a modest variant, and I have the Choice Scarf, so I have everything I need to outspeed things. I'm going to go to, say, about I think this is okay, 148, right? This will be enough to outspeed everything I need. You know, stuff like Chi-Yu, Landorus, Sneasler. If I have to outspeed that thing, I can do it. Otherwise, I'm still going to go max modest here, 1 point in the bulk stats here, and just dump the rest into HP there. I am a little bit short of the Rillaboom number, but it's okay. Otherwise, if you really need it, you could definitely do something like this. Go to about 170, and then just still match up with 192 there, and that will give you the optimized build for that. Otherwise, you know, I do know some Miraidon builds that do like to go for this, so I'm just going to undercut them a little bit and outspeed them with a little bit of speed creeping and just go to 174 there. All right, Volcarona here, I'm going to go Bold Nature. I'm going to be super bulky and super supportive here. Max HP, again, there's that 192 benchmark for Rillaboom. If they want to bring that into my Miraidon matchup, let's go about, so 196 is the benchmark there. Let's go about to, I think 220 is also like pretty good. Like, again, I don't need that much special attack. I don't even need that much special defense here. I have a pretty good amount of it. And then the speed here, you know, maybe for something like max speed incinerators or whatnot, but at this point, I don't really need that much from Volcarona. I just need to be like physically bulky here on the physical side there. So I just went all out into my HP and most of my defense there. Farigiraf, I'm gonna hit benchmarks. Relatively straightforward here. I'm gonna go relax. You could definitely go bold there. I'm gonna go to 224 again for that. Factor of 16 grassy terrain recovery. Let's hit the benchmark here. 121 is the benchmark there, but again, I've got the electric seed, so let's go for that nice even number instead. Let's push it over by 1. Let's go to 122 instead. Dump the rest into Spadef, and that's it. Iron Hands also will keep it relatively standard. Same thing. I'll go Brave Nature just to potentially outspeed Adamant C Calyrex Ice Riders. Let's go to 240 again. The other benchmark number. And for terrain recovery, max out your Spadef, get the best value with your Assault Vest, along with being super bulky at the same time on the special side, and then just dump the rest here into attack. You only need up to 198 for the benchmark, but let's push it to 200. Nice solid even number with Court Drive anyway. And then Chien Pao here, again, we already did it. So this is it. I just slapped on like some relatively quick EVs just to like have something to jump onto ladder with and get on and testing, and this is what I was working with, and we had some pretty good games there, so I want to showcase that and just show you this build and this variant. Oh yeah, this was a very interesting idea that our opponent had here. So he's got Landorus and Incineroar. That's something that you used to see back in like Sword and Shield Dynamax era. Double Intimidate, we do have our Clear Amulet, so we're going to be fine from that. And again, we are a normal type, so we should be able to sit in front of that Calyrex and just go for the Shadow Claws here. The question now being, what does he bring with his restricted tier, if he even brings both at all. So I'm going to bring Miraidon, of course. I don't want to get slept by Amoonguss stuff if he does bring that, and we can pressure his Arceus as well. Okay, so he's gonna go Landorus there. We're fine with that. He goes Fluttermane here. I'm gonna go with Volcarona, just to again potentially go for the Tailwind idea, just to try and outspeed him here. But Dazzling Gleam comes out. We are able to eat that with Arceus. And I am able to get rid of the Fluttermane immediately, right? So no sash on that thing. I'm very surprised, but again, once I saw the booster range, I was like, oh wow, free kill. He didn't even tear it. So Struggle Bug, and he's actually clicking special move on his Landorus, which is kind of funny. You used to see that back in Sword and Shield Best of 1, back in like the latter games. But yeah, there's Expanding Force. I have no idea what this guy's doing, right? I'm very shocked as to why he's doing this. But here's Tailwind. Okay, and now we just go for Shadow Claw. He just lets his Calyrex die. Like that, the sash isn't even on the Calyrex. So I don't know what our opponent was doing. He just let both his ghost types die to Shadow Claw. Don't do that. All right, now he's left with just Amoonguss. He didn't even bring the Arceus, so that's pretty much all she wrote here. I just wanted to get some more damage out onto the Amoonguss there. I probably should have just even tarred and clicked Fiery Dance because I missed the KO here, which is funny enough. He does click Spore, but it doesn't matter. I've got Miraidon in the back. Probably could have even switched that in, but again, this Landorus is not doing any damage. So just for memes and giggles, I just click Snarl here just to, make him even more useless. He's not going to do anything. There's Earth Power. We eat that easily because again, he is -3 now, and even though he is Life Orb, he's not doing anything. So yeah, so we end up just beating him just because we're spamming Snarl, and Volcarona was really good in doing what it needed to do. But also at the same time, Arceus Shadow Claw just removed 2 ghost types, and he did nothing against it. Another rear team here. He's got Lunala with Ho-Oh here. He's got Incin and the Ogre Pond Wellspring, Firewater Grass Core, along with Iron Hands there. It's kind of a random team, honestly. There's a Rabombi there. I don't know what that's supposed to do, but listen, I've got a Miraidon, so I got everything I need. And look, he's got Rabombi and Instant as a lead. I'm going to go Chien Pao Arceus here. I'm going to duel for as much damage as I can. I've got Shadow Claw for Lunala if I have to do it. So Intimidate's not going to do anything. I've got Clear Amulet there. Farigiraf, denying Fake Out, good switch there. Free Swords Dance for me because he's going for Tailwind. That's fine. Your Tailwind doesn't matter in front of Extreme Speed. Terra Normal here. I want to see how much damage this did into Instant, and it actually just one-shots it, bro. Like Terra Normal, Arceus, +2 Swords Dance there. Great kill on the Instant there. He's going into Lunala there. Foul Play is super effective. Doesn't even tear this thing. Otherwise, he would have been susceptible to Extreme Speed. Anyway, Shadow Claw just removes the Lunala, and that's pretty much it, man. He's got a Ho-Oh there, but again, we've got Miraidon, so he's not really going to do much. He has Stun Spore, by the way, instead of Sleep Powder. I don't know why he's got Stun Spore and not Sleep Powder there, but that is not it. Why he's doing this, I couldn't tell you. All right, Extreme Speed, so much damage there, almost one-shotting Ho-Oh. Free Foul Play, we didn't need the crit, and that's it. Rabombi's all that's left, but Rabombi ain't doing nothing when it's 1-on-4, so that was it. So like we said earlier, G-Weezing is another good partner for Arceus because again, you're able to shut down Intimidate from something like an Incineroar, shut down Farigiraf, denying your anti-priority with its ability. So this way you can spam extreme speed to your heart's desire and not have to worry about your damage mitigated because again, the neutralizing gas will take away the Intimidate from the Incineroar. Alright, so this is where you can really get away with Life Orb as opposed to the Clear Amulet set there. So this way you can partner Weezing with Arceus and Incineroar can come in and not really do anything because again, Intimidate won't work with the Weezing on the field here. So then after this, I think Calyrex just makes sense here to bring back as a partner here because when you have the Galarian Weezing going for Poison Gas damage over time, things are just going to be put in range for Astral Barrage, and then at the same time, you can always partner, Extreme Speed with the Poison Gas damage and, keep dealing all this priority chip damage until finally the Calyrex can clean up with the Astral Barrage in the end. And then after that, it just makes sense to add the Dondozo Tatsugiri combination to this for the same reason. Again, after all the resources have been spent and after all the poison damage has been dealt over time, where things have lost, at least 30% of their health, the Dondozo and Tatsugiri Commander combination can come in and clean things up in the end game. Right? And, we'll go with the Droopy variant Tatsugiri, so this way, even if they want to bring the Incineroar, we don't really care about it because we're going to be going for hard-hitting body presses. All right, then after this last slot, you can pick a lot of different things. I was just testing the Chiyu at the moment just to have another partner here with the Calyrex just for a little bit more boosted damage. But you can experiment with this last slot if you want to. You can go with Roaring Moon Tailwind support. You can go with like Whimsicott over here if you also want to, have a Prankster Tailwind idea if you want that. Otherwise, feel free to, use something else there. But I was having pretty good success with the Chiyu here. So from here, Covert Cloak with Terra Water was a pretty useful idea. Again, just getting around Fake Out, not having to deal with Urshifu Surging Strikes because of the Terra Water here, which is pretty solid. From here, I went with Psychic and Pollen Puff and then Protect here. Now, I thought about going Specs here, right? Just so I can get as much value and much damage as I can from the Calyrex, but I still want to Protect. So in the end, I just went with the three sets that you see over there, and then I just went with Spell Tag just for a little bit more damage here. So this will just be a standard 252 timid set. You can definitely go for a little bit more bulk here if you want there, but with this kind of Calyrex, and with the testing just going on here, I just went straight timid 252. But if you want to experiment further with a bulkier build like the one we did with the Clefairy, you're free to do that. The Weezing, I also just kept it relatively standard. I went Calm Nature here, and just max HP, of course, and then going for the benchmark here, 156 is really all I was going for. 1 point in the special attack. I don't need damage from the Weezing. I just need bulk and support, and then a little bit of speed. I went to about like 44 here, just for potential Incineroar speed ties, and then just dumping the rest into defense because that's really all I had left there. But you're free to experiment with the bulk and the speed as you wish. I just went for basic benchmark with the Spadef nature there. The Dondozo, same thing. I'm going with leftovers here with Terra Grass. And, again, getting around Amoonguss, Order Up, Body Press. You can also go Substitute here if you want, or you can go Earthquake there. I think Sub is also relatively useful because, again, if you're going for all this poison damage, you can definitely go for Substitute and then just alternate Protects while they just keep getting poison damage every other turn. And then, just going for Impish just to get as much value as you can out of the body presses that you're going to be clicking a lot. So I just went for Impish 96 there, again, hitting the benchmark. A little bit of speed. I went to about like, what is this? 62 there. All right, so that'll hit about 134. Again, these are just like leftovers. Honestly, I just wanted to like max out my Spadef there, and literally the leftovers came into speed there. You have enough bulk where you can take a lot of different hits there. So, you're already getting like defense boost anyway with like the Order Up Body Press combination. And then might as well just get as much value as you can from your Spadef. So I just maxed that, and whatever was left over actually went into speed in this case. Tatsugiri, you're a Sashmon. I just went 252 timid here. I was running a pretty standard set, with this Focus Sash item, right? And I was going like Terra Normal here just to get around Calyrex Ice Rider. I was going with, Draco Meteor, Muddy Water, and I was also going for Icy Wind here and then Protect. Now, you can definitely go Helping Hand here with the Tatsugiri, so This way you have a little bit more boosted damage with Calyrex and Arceus. So if you like that, you can definitely go with it. Otherwise, I was just going for like +1 ideas here. So potential mirror ideas. So you can protect your Calyrex, go for Icy Wind first with Terra Normal there, and then after that you can outspeed their Calyrex and then just go ham with Astral Barrage. The Chiyu here, I went Choice Scarf. You know, just because it's a Chiyu. Choice Scarf is still like very, very good. I went with the modest variant, obviously, and then Terra Ghost just to help you get around fake out stuff. But anyway, Overheat, right? Dark Pulse, Snarl, and then Heat Wave. Very standard Chiyu set there, and just again going for like max speed modest and as much damage as you can. You can definitely invest a little bit more into your bulk there, but I feel like those are best with Miraidon because you can actually survive Surging Strike Urshifu in the sun if you invest in a little bit of bulk. But we don't have a Miraidon team with Chiyu here, so I don't think it was necessary. So yeah, I was just testing this out, and it was also pretty good. Again, Weezing has its uses. Again, with that neutralizing gas and the bulk there, I almost forgot the set on my Arceus here. Let me just go ahead and do that. So again, I was running the Adamant Max Speed set, right? As much damage as I can. I was still going for a little bit of optimization chip here. And that's really all I wanted out of my Arceus. But that was pretty much it. So yeah, we'll just show you some test games with this variant, and then you get a sense of how to play the Weezing with this stuff. Alright, so here we're going up against another Arceus team. He's got Miraidon as well, like our second team, but he doesn't have any of the cool Miraidon partners. He does have a Chien Pao there with Urshifu, so that's something to be respected. But this is again, you know, a Weezing advantage type of game where you can take away a lot of their abilities over here. So I'm gonna go for poison damage here, and let's see if Dondozo can clean things up in the game. Instant Miraidon, of course. I'm gonna go with Weezing Calyrex instead, right? The Calyrex is pressured by the Incineroar, but that's okay. Right, so there's the fake out. I don't need to Terra the Calyrex here yet, right? I am Terra Dark here, but I didn't show it in this particular game. But there's Raw Electrodrift. I actually lived there, so that's kind of funny. Again, Miraidon not having the terrain misses out on the KO on the Calyrex here. It's going to go into Arceus. That's fine. I'm going to protect the Calyrex here a little bit and just get some chip onto the Incineroar. I know he wants to switch out the Miraidon there. Knock off again, but that's fine. So now what I could do is just go for Raw Astral Barrage again. It doesn't do anything to Arceus, but I want to just remove the Incineroar here. So this way the Dondozo doesn't have to deal with the Incineroar pivoting here. The Miraidon is poisoned. He does bring in Urshifu here, so that's okay. Because again, I can resist that. It goes for extreme speed. The Weezing survives, fortunately. So we have enough bulk on the Weezing where we can take that extreme speed. And that's probably where I win this game because the Weezing was able to survive there. Because now I click Poison Gas, and now everything is poisoned. Chip damage over time, right? That's pretty good chip on the Arceus there, especially into Urshifu. I'm going to go into Tatsugiri here. And I am just going to go for those hard-hitting body presses. There's no Terra coming out. Extreme Speed doesn't do any damage here. Same thing with Surging Strikes. He actually just aims for the Weezing slot there anyway. There's the body press. We remove the Arceus there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, because now the Urshifu is on the clock. The Miraidon's also on the clock there. We still have Terra Grass available, which is why I didn't Terra the Calyrex. I wanted to save it for the Dondozo here. And we also have the Sash on the Tatsugiri. We should be okay here. And then just body press the Miraidon just to get rid of it there. We're not really worried about the Urshifu. You can't really break through. And in fact, I think I wanted to meme here a little bit. I just went for the sub after the Surging Strikes here. So Surging Strikes comes out. Okay, and we clicked our sub. All right, and we get recovery over time because, again, leftovers is really good. Urshifu still is taking chip damage, but it's over here at this point. He thinks Terra Water is going to be enough here, but it actually isn't. Our substitute is able to, soak up everything here, and then we just body press the Urshifu, and we cleaned up. Right, so you got to see the Weezing stop the Intimidate, right? You got to see the Poison Gas chip damage over time, and then you got to see the Dondozo clean things up in the end game because all the resources were gone at that point. So we're going to go into the Perish variant for the last part of the video here. Now, this was actually a very interesting build that I saw online, and I saw it being played out quite a bit there, and I tried to recreate it as best as I could based on the games that I was watching from a certain player there. You're going to be able to see the name, but I'm not going to be able to say the name out loud just because of YouTube policies. You'll see what I mean when you get to see the test games here, but this is a pretty interesting Arceus build. So actually, it wasn't even Extreme, it wasn't even Judgment. It was actually just Perish, right? You got to see Perish and Protect, right? And then Wait, no, this is the Calyrex. I was wondering, why is Perish Song illegal? Right, it was over here. Perish Protect, right? But it also had Snarl, okay, as the damage mitigation move there. And it also had, I'm going to override the Perish Song here. It's going to have Earth Power as well, just as a way to hit like something like Incineroar there. But this was the set that they were running. It was a very interesting set. I don't know the item particularly, so I just slapped on safety goggles just to get around Among Us stuff. But it was, I believe it was a bulkier set. I want to say it was like a bold max HP set here. And just to be able to like soak up hits and then just, you know, be supportive by alternating protects and then pivoting around the Perish stuff. And you'll see what I mean when I show you the test games here. The Incineroar also had Protect, funny enough, and it was Intimidate. I'm going to say this was Rocky Helmet here. And this had Fake Out, Knock Off, and Parting Shot for your pivot moves, right? I'm going to say, I'm going to go Terra Ghost here. It was a very interesting idea, right? The Gothitelle wasn't even like Trick Room or anything like that. Regenerator here, the Among Us, it was actually eject button. And again, you know, you can definitely get away with this because again, Reg J is like mostly for ladder. There's no like in-person tour, so you can definitely play a lot of best of one stuff there. So they were definitely using something like this. And then it was just Rage Powder. I'm just gonna Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, Spore, and Protect here. Of course, I'm gonna go Terra Water here again. Pretty good against fire type attacks. Gothitelle also was Terra Water. And here, Citrus Berry was used, even though there's like Calyrex is running around here. It's still fine. You can definitely get away with Citrus Berry. And it was a set like this. Fake Out, Psychic, Heal Pulse, and Protect. That's going to be good for longevity, right? Just to keep your pivot options healthy. So this way you can outlast the Perish Trap. And then finally here, the Calyrex, again, really good in Trick Room. And this was a leftover set, which is, again, also really good in Perish because you can protect and get recovery. Glacial Lance, Leech Seed, gonna help you survive even more. Trick Room and Protect. I feel like Leech Seed Calyrex is excellent with Perish stuff because, again, you're just alternating protects and getting recovery over time. You're being relatively hard to break through because these Calyrexes are always like so relatively bulky. And then Fluttermane as your ghost type in the Perish Trap idea is also relatively solid. Booster energy here, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and then Protect here. This last move, I think you can just slap on Taunt here and just call it. And then you can just run like a Timid set. You can just go about 140 there just to outspeed stuff like Rory Moon there. And just to have like 236 bulk there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Again, Rillaboom, Grassy Train recovery. 4 and 4 here is all we really need, and just dump the rest here into defense. That's already like good enough. Calyrex, we can go with the max HP Adamant, either 36 or 44 set. Here's the first benchmark. I'm gonna go one more just to get a nice solid even number after a +1 there, and we'll have a little bit of speed there, not a whole lot. Just about Adamant is okay for the Calyrex. I'm gonna go about 188. This is gonna be really good against like Life Orb, Astro, Barrage stuff. And then just 1 point in defense there, right? So ton of Spadef there. Max HP, obviously. We don't need that much attack. We're just trying to survive here with the Leech Seed stuff. The Gothitelle here, I'm going to go Calm Nature here. And I'm going to go to about 176 there, again, for the optimal number. Then I'm going to go, let's see, maybe 76 here, I think is all right. And then dump the rest here into physical defense. And that's all I really need out of my Gothitelle. Among Us, same thing. You can even go Sassy Nature here, survive like special attack from something like a Shadow Rider, especially if it's Sash and it's not a boosting item there. I'm gonna go 236 there. Again, put myself out of range of like Final Gambit Annihilate stuff, and then at the same time, optimal number for Regenerator, perfect 73 recovery every time you switch it out. Let's go 0 speed Among Us here. Instant, we can just keep the standard Impish set here where you're going nearly max HP. I'm going to go max HP. Enemy 180 defense here. 60 Spadef, and then just 4 and 4 in the attack and the speed. And then the Arceus here, it's like this relatively bold set here. So look at this. You got Intimidate, Parting Shot for damage mitigation. You got Redirection support. You got all these Fake Outs from Gothitelle and Incineroar coming out here. Then you got Snarl coming from the Arceus, just mitigating special attack damage. You've got Taunt here. You've got Trick Room. All of these Pokemon have Protect, right? So you can definitely play Perish this way if you want to. Now, again, my disclaimer is, unless your name is Wolf Glick, you're never going to use Perish as great as him, but you can still apply certain principles where you're just alternating your slots, clicking protect, right? Or switching out, clicking fake out, okay? And then after that, once there's the last turn of Perish, again, you want to just try and keep your Gothitelle in place so this way they can't switch out. And you can also use your Gothitelle heal pulse to keep your options healthy, especially after like fake out and trick room setup. So you've got your options here. At some games you don't even need the Arceus. You can just win games like Instant Amoonguss, Gothitelle, Calyrex if you want, or Perish Arceus with like Calyrex here and just pick 2 of the 3 here with either Instant Amoonguss or Gothitelle that you really want. And you know, it's very punishing with this type of team if you're not really prepared to go up against Perish. So let me show you some test games from the player, and let me just show you how well they were able to craft out this Perish trap. Alright, so they had a similar idea with the Weezing that we had before, right? There's Calyrex, there's Dondozo, Tatsugiri, and they got a Pekka here, but I don't know why you would want both Weezing and Pekka. I feel like Roaring Moon makes sense, right, with the Tailwind support there. I don't think you need both Weezing and Pekka if they're going to be both doing the same thing with like the poison damage over time stuff. So I think there's another slot that you can put there easily, maybe even something like a Chiyu there or something else, but I don't think you need Weezing and Pekka on the same team here, right? But this is a game where like Earth Power from the Arceus was really useful because again against the Weezing, but it's also pretty useful against stuff like Instant if they did have it, or even against Chiyu, for example. Right, so there's Fake Out into the Weezing, Earth Power into Pekka, does pretty good damage. Obviously not a whole lot because it's not a stab move. They go for the Poison Gas over time, right? So they have potential endgame with Dondozo in mind here, right? And Arceus, since it was just really good against Calyrex if they did decide to lead it, right? So Earth Power, Weezing, they're going for Malignant Chain there, but again, not a whole lot of damage coming out there. So you can just click Knockoff. As long as you remove these 2 things, you're in a pretty good spot here against the Dondozo endgame. So there's Earth Power there. Okay. And now you get to click Knockoff from the Incineroar to Pekka. And now, let's see what they have in the back. Is it Calyrex or is it Dondozo Tatsugiri? Only one way to find out. It is, in fact, Dondozo Tatsugiri, which is fine. So now you have 2 options. If they go for the Instant, then you click Perish on Arceus. If they go for the Arceus, you can click Party Shot into Instant and then just go for the Leech Seed Calyrex endgame and you'll always win that, right? So, but they go in for the Instant. This is where Perish comes into play. So now everything, the Dondozo's on a timer here, right? So now Gothitelle comes in, right? Then you can just swap in your Calyrex and then now you just click Fake Out into the Dozo here if you really wanted to, right? And they do. So now your Perish count is down to 2 on the Dondozo. You can't do anything here. And now you can easily just protect if you want, right? Because after that, there's just 1 more turn left. You swap out one of the slots there, probably the Calyrex, bring back Incineroar. Then the Dondozo drops at the end of the turn, ideally. And then Calyrex can beat the Tatsugiri in the endgame plus said partner, right? So, again, once you pick up the 2 KOs, Perish just wins you the game as long as you have at least more than 2 Pokemon there because you're just alternating your slots and you're just alternating your protects. You've got Fake Out available if you have to, and then you're just going to win in that end game. Here's another game, but this game you don't even need the Perish. I'm going to show you just how good the Gothitelle trapping abilities were, and you'll see why when it's how devastating it is with the Leech Seed combination because you can't break out of the Leech Seed, right? Because you're trapped in, you're losing HP over time, and then once you're in range, Calyrex clicks Glacial Lance, it gets a boost, and then whatever comes in has to deal with a boosted Calyrex. Alright, so let me show you how this works. So they're going to go with Miraidon, and they're going to go with Farigiraf. Smart play there. Fluttermane and the Gothitelle was the choice here to try and pressure the Miraidon at the very least, or even taunt the Farigiraf there. Miraidon goes for the Terra Electric there, so big nuke coming in, right? But Moonblast comes first into Miraidon, forcing that Terra. There's the kill on the Fluttermane, so great start for them. Pivot out Miraidon, go into Chien Pao here potentially, and now you could bring in your own Arceus here, which gets boosted by Chien Pao if you want. There's Helping Hand into Chien Pao there. Alright, Sacred Sword, good damage, but you are a Bolt Arceus, you're able to take that well. You break a Sash on Chien Pao here, you reduce damage from Farigiraf potentially. Right, some Psychic damage into the Farigiraf, could have even Healed Pulse the Arceus, maybe if you could read it, but some damage was also pretty good there. Right, so again, Helping Hand. Again, none of these options can switch, right? So the Gothitelle still remains. No Heal Pulse, unfortunately, because again, they didn't go for the Gothitelle. Now you just have Calyrex and Gothitelle. You've already lost 2 Pokemon. They still have all 4, but again, they are trapped. They can't switch out. So protect Gothitelle first, their Sacred Sword into Calyrex. Again, decent chip, but not enough because now you've got to deal with Leech Seed, right? And you've got leftovers. Look at Calyrex recover over time here. There's another Sacred Sword, this time going to Gothitelle. I don't think that's important there, right? Heal Pulse keeping the Calyrex healthy, right? Twin Beam, again, resisted. This Farigiraf can't do anything, right? Now you click Trick Room. Again, you're in a good spot here. Now you just protect Gothitelle. Again, keep it relatively healthy. And then you can just see the Chien Pao here. And now your Calyrex just does not die. Now everything is losing health, getting put in range slowly of the Glacial Lance over time, right? There's Ice Shard again. Can't even click like this regular attack, right? Because you're in Trick Room. He could have, but he chose not to. And now the Calyrex is +1 because the Farigiraf was finally put in range of the Glacial Lance. And now here comes Arceus. Can definitely go for extreme speed here. I think you gotta go for it, but I don't think he did. Chien Pao goes splat. You're going to +2, right? And now Arceus again has to take the Psychic, and there is a Swords Dance instead. So I guess trying to get ready for the kill. Maybe looking for the Calyrex kill. There's Miraidon, 1 turn left of TR. There's the extreme speed, not enough to kill, and that means Glacial Lance for the final turn of Trick Room, and that's it, right? So again, the whole idea was you didn't need Perish in this game. All you had to do was just keep the slots from switching, let them take damage over time from Leech Seed, get the boost, or once they're in range for a Glacial Lance, and then take advantage with what they have left. One more here. This was one of the premier Magearna teams, right? You've got Calyrex, Ice Rider, and redirection stuff, especially with Smeargle. No Annihilate, Choice Scarf, Final Gambit stuff, which is fine. But Snarl's going to be really useful here from the Arceus, especially if they go with Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Magearna. So here's Gothitelle and Arceus here. And you don't have to click Perish right off the bat. You can just easily click Snarl depending on the board, or you can click Perish if you want. Here comes Incin, being able to resist a lot of the Magearna stuff. Here's the fast Snarl, like we talked about there. Even if he goes for Trick Room, you're going for -1 here. Psychic from Indeedee is okay. Flash Cannon also totally free, right? So now he goes into Calyrex Ice, trying to remove the debuff, right? Even though Arceus, just goes for Snarl, doesn't care about Calyrex, it's okay, because now you can remove the Indeedee, right? And start positioning your board for the Parashong endgame. Remember, all you need is 1 more kill, and you can do it. There's the Terra Electric Calyrex, which is interesting, right? Parasong was finally activated, and now you can click Knock Off. He probably didn't expect this, right? And now it's Trick Room, but he can't even take advantage, right? Because of the Perish. So he has to make a choice. Do I stay in, or do I try and take advantage? This is where you go into Gothitelle, stop the switching, right? There's the Spore, that's okay. Glacial Lance comes out, still fine, because again, all you have to do is just keep alternating your stuff, right? And even though the Incin is asleep, it's okay. These things cannot switch, right? There's the Protect on Goth, again, just preserving, because again, Perish next turn, just switch out your Goth and then bring in something else, and then your Gothitelle still remains healthy, and then both the Amoonguss and the Calyrex fall. And again, this is how you play Perish. So there we go, we pivot out the Gothitelle, here comes the Calyrex. And finally, they get off the Spore, but again, it doesn't matter. They're going to lose all these options here. Glacial Lance does pick up the Incin. That's okay. It was sleeping anyway. And you don't need the Incin for this endgame against Magearna. And now you lose both the Calyrex and the Amoonguss. And now, again, it's just all Magearna here. You've got your own Arceus here that can click Snarl. And if anything, you could have even clicked Protect on this just to stall potentially. But they went with Flare Cannon. That's okay. There's the Perish. You didn't even need to Snarl. You could just click Perish. Now you could just alternate and just protect, right? Bring out 1 slot, and just fake out with the Goth that on the other time, or just kill 1, and then you'll always have fake out and protect, right, available with your Goth. You don't even necessarily need to switch here, because again, you do have the fake out and the protect on Goth available. That'll eat up 2 turns, and then this Magearna is going to drop. Alright, so let's go over all the pace one more time here. This is the first variation with like Chien Pao, Calyrex balanced up with Clefairy, Rillaboom here. So you're relying on Friend Guard support to enable your Nasty Plot and your Swords Dance from your Arceus here. Again, you are more than inclined to swap out a couple items. You can definitely go Clear Amulet Arceus here. You can definitely go with Life Orb Calyrex. I think that might be better in the grand scheme of things now that I think about it, but if you want the extra damage, definitely go for this. Otherwise, Clear Amulet with the Life Orb back on the Calyrex is okay. Chien Pao could use Taunt if you want. You can, but I was testing Crunch here, but you can definitely try out Taunt. Then this second variation is with Miraidon here. Okay, this one has the support Volcarona set with Rage Powder and Tailwind. You still have a Trick Room mode here with Farigiraf and Iron Hands here. Ruination was a pretty good tech option here on the Chien Pao if you want to go for that. And Miraidon can definitely go Specs as opposed to Scarf if you want. You can definitely experiment with that. This is the Weezing variation with the Terra Dark Calyrex here and the Life Orb Arceus over here. All right, again, more or less the same stuff. Dondozo, Tatsugiri. Again, this is the Droopy Tatsugiri, so you can get the defense boost, and then there's Chiyu in the last slot there. And this is the very interesting support Arceus set with Earth Power and Snarl. Again, the whole idea is you're going for, you know, big damage mitigation. So this way, when you do click Perish, they are not dealing enough damage to pick up the KOs. So this way, it ruins your strategy. You've got Freakouts and Protects here, which is exactly what you want to be able to use Perish. And again, you don't have to rely on Perish. You can still rely on the trapping abilities of Gothitelle and combo that relatively well with the Calyrex Leech Seed. So this way, you're getting recovery over time, along with Heal Pulse with the Gothitelle. And the idea is you're putting things in range for Glacial Lance. And then after that, whatever's left, that's when the Calyrex could potentially steamroll. And then you can reposition yourself and just go for a Fake Out Trick Room play or Redirection and Trick Room play if you have to do it. I still think it's pretty good here, right? So you can definitely go for that. We'll put all the PokePaste in the video description below. But yeah, if you are interested in building your own Regulation J team, or if you want to build your own Arceus team and it doesn't look anything like these four, and if you have your own idea but not really sure how to flesh it out, feel free to sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one coaching session with me. Some of you have already signed up. We've done a few sessions already. A lot of you have also signed up for Regulation H team building, which is also on the table if you'd like to do that as well. But if you look in the video description below, as well as the pinned comment section in the video, there is that link to join the channel with that Tier 3 sub, and then you can get your session with me. And you can join the Discord for free, right? And engage with our community. We already have 1,200 members in our Discord, so we have a pretty big community and we're growing it daily. So if you want to be a part of something and, you know, just want people to spar with, you can definitely join our Discord if you'd like to do so already. All right, but that's it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.